So I get to do a little bit more. I've already done my warm up, so hopefully you guys have done a little warm up, got the blood flowing, got the joints loosened up. I'm going to run through probably six exercises or so that I'm going to do as kind of my circuit today, and follow along. I'll talk as we go. So first one, overhead. What's it called? The Romanian split squat, I believe. Just foot up on a platform in the back, hands overhead, and just lunging down. I'm trying to get my back knee as deep as possible. I get questions sometimes about that back foot. Should it be up on the tiptoe or should it be kind of laces down? I guess it probably depends on the height of your platform. This one's a little bit low just because I'm kind of working up to this one. So I have my tiptoes on it, but if you had a higher platform, sometimes I do like to put the laces because I do find it kind of puts a bit of pressure on that big toe of mine. Up to you. And switch around. So with this one, I'm trying to keep my upper body quite straight, obviously vertical as best you can. Got just an empty Olympic bar over my head, and trying to really avoid leaning forward. I think it's pretty much impossible, I would say. Maybe impossible is the wrong word, but if you start leaning forward with the bar, you're probably going to run into a little bit of trouble and won't be able to hold the weight over your head. So something to be aware of. And I like to have a bit of a wide stance. So I'd probably say I'm shoulder width apart with my feet, be slightly wider, and really trying to think about moving straight up and down, no kind of forward and back movement, and locking up the elbows there. All right. I'm going to follow that one with just a kind of, I would call it just an end range lunge. I want to make sure I'm in camera here. But again, I'm just going to lunge on the floor and do that movement where I'm just going to elevate a few inches off the ground and just kind of rep that out, just to kind of work on. One of my mentors taught me that this was to work that VMO, so that kind of teardrop inner quad muscle. Well, it's actually for the back leg more so than anywhere else. And you should feel a pretty substantial burn in the back leg. I'll go more face on this time. There's somebody mowing the lawn out there. Key is for this one, again, seeing vertical with the chest, but just raising off the ground in the back by a couple inches. Okay, so there's my kind of quad exercise. I'm gonna follow that with a chest exercise. Let me move the camera around so I can use the bench here. Hopefully that's in camera. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do a straight press today with a dumbbell bench press. So today, flat press, dumbbells. I like to be conscious about my rib cage position. I find myself included sometimes get kind of overarched in the kind of ribs. So while you're doing a press today, thinking about keeping the rib cage, I would call it depressed, but kind of almost like you're trying to flatten out your back, keeping your rib cage down and contacting the back of the bench with as much of your rib cage as possible. So don't let your rib cage flare out. And a good way to kind of cue yourself is to kind of think about flattening at your back and or thinking about keeping that rib cage down against the bench as best as possible. I'm going to talk about tempo a little bit later, but working here a little bit, so it's hard to talk. So I'm not going to talk a whole lot for this round. All right, I'm going to follow this by just a farmer carry. So the weights that I use for the press is going to walk around a little bit. I like to try to kind of vary the direction and the terrain I'm walking in, just to kind of challenge the balance and stability. But don't feel you need to go out of your way necessarily, but choose a weight that's heavy. I mean, this doesn't really do a whole lot if you have light weights, but obviously choosing a weight that you can manage for about 20, 30 seconds. Obviously, you can go farther and farther. And as you can see, I kind of like to incorporate a lot of turns and step over things. Really more so to work the stability balance, making me kind of spend a bit of time on one foot, changing directions, etc. Farmer carries are a great exercise, actually super functional, works a lot of different muscles, works that grip strength, which people find is an important kind of lawnmower again. Grip strength is something that they measure to determine longevity. I think a lot of tests have been done on that. That unfortunately, as we age, we tend to lose a lot of grip strength, and studies have shown that people that do live into their elder decades maintain a stronger grip strength than those that die early. I'm just going to throw in a fly just to double do the chest a little bit. kind of, I'm sure a lot of people out there like working the chest, so the lawnmower. Same with the press, kind of thinking that rib cage stays down. I'm trying to keep a relatively flat back, meaning that there's a lot of surface contact of my back into the bench, and I'm not allowing the rib cage to flare out. I'm going to do a little bit of a slower tempo for this just because I chose a bit of a lighter weight, and really emphasizing that eccentric load of this. So slowing down at the bottom of the fly. I'm actually trying to power up a little bit to bring the hands together at the top. Breathing is your friend. Make sure you're breathing, not holding your breath. I'm not even counting reps. So as I probably say in other videos, I just rep it out till, I wouldn't necessarily say failure, but definitely fatigue. But I mean, getting to failure is a great way to get those extra the gains. And or sometimes I get that DOMS, right? The delayed onset muscle soreness when I rep it out to the point where I can barely do it anymore. But as you can see, this weight's a little bit lighter. I'm just going to slow it right down for the last couple to really get that burn. Keep that shoulder, the rib cage depressed. There we go. Okay, next one I will do. I'm going to do a hamstring curl on the ball as well as a bridge. Of course, the guy happens to be mowing the lawn today. Funny enough. I can't remember if I put that away yesterday. Okay, so with this one, I'm just going to tilt it down a bit better. This is more hamstring exercise. I'll do my knees cracked there, followed by a glute exercise. Kind of create a bridge position, so straight line from the heel to my shoulders the best I can. Engage the core a little bit, just a little gentle squeeze to the belly, and then curling the ball in towards me here. Good, that was actually very tiring. I think I only got about 10 out of that one. So as you can see, my circuits try to not only strength train, but do a bit of cardio too, as in I don't really stop. I just go from one exercise to the next. obviously set up the exercise that I'm going to do, and I get a little sip of water here and there too, obviously. Stay hydrated, important. And then that bridge next. Let me grab a kettlebell for this one. Obviously, you can use a plate or nothing. I'm going to stick the kettlebell on my pelvis and just do a single leg bridge. Kind of put it right on that hip bone there, and then drive the hips upwards on the one leg. I should try on the other side. Oh man, that's heavy. This weight's pretty heavy for me, so actually next round I might actually go a little lighter. I'm finding I'm struggling a little bit with this one. Really think about squeezing the butt, getting that glute working, and my hamstrings are bagged. I did the hamstring curl fall just before that one, so I was tired. I think you got a pretty good angle there. I'm going to try to do a crunch, but just a kind of oblique crunch, I call these, but reaching up on a diagonal and really trying to make sure or emphasize clearing the back or the shoulder, especially that bottom shoulder, off the mat. So just a fun little exercise. I mean, people always want to do ab exercise, I find, even though just being aware that kind of spot reducing, meaning doing like a million sit-ups to get a six-pack and to lose the belly fat is not going to be your way to get the six-pack. But again, just a fun little exercise to get a nice burn. And then not just doing like a straight-up crunch, but getting a bit more oblique involvement as well as that rectus abdominis or the six-pack. I go the other side. Hopefully this gives you a bit of an angle. You can see I'm really trying to clear those shoulder blades, especially the bottom one. Bottom one being the right side when I'm going right, and the left side when I'm going left. And obviously, if you're feeling this is tough, there are variations of this that you can do to build up to it. Okay. All right, next. Let's do a back exercise here. This one I got a handy pull-up bar, which is great. Pull-up attachment there. Just gonna grab a sip of water. I don't usually talk when I work out, so I'm finding a little bit more winded and parched than I maybe would be if I wasn't talking. Okay. I mean, there's a lot of different grips that people can use. I'm going to start this first one with just kind of a narrow, I guess, what is that, a hammer curl grip? I mean, usually I try to do 3 or 4 reps and I'll change my grip each set, but you know, your call how you want to do it. Sometimes maybe one week I'll just do all in one grip and all in the next grip. Pull-ups here. I always, again, thinking about that rib cage. So a lot of people will kind of overarch as they do their chin-ups. I kind of think about flexing forward at the hips even, keeping them slightly in front of you even, which is way harder. But again, keeping your rib cage and your shoulder blades in a much better position versus arching back, like you'll see a lot of people do when they do a chin-up. It's early. Try to keep those hips and legs in front of you. And it's way harder. And it takes a lot more control. I think I only do 7, 8 of those. Oh boy, they're tough. Keep those legs in front of you and you'll find just even do one in comparison. So do one in the back, do one in the front. Then you'll notice a difference straight away. I'll follow that just with a dip because I got the dip rack in front of me here. Instead of just doing a traditional dip, what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to do a reverse shrug. So kind of working the shoulder blade stability muscles. So I just kind of let myself dip down through the shoulder joint and I push myself up. So I'm kind of shrugging in a reverse. If that makes sense. And then I might just do a dip or two, just a burnout. My shoulders are really tired after that. There's my round. First round, I'm going to repeat that. But I don't think you guys probably want to watch me do that again. But there's my exercise for today. I'm going to do 3 sets of that. And then call it a day. Feel free to comment and throw in some ideas for any exercises or body parts you wanted me to work on. And I'm gladly show you that. Till next time, see you then.